In my second year of medical school, I was sent out to a hospital in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania, an old steel town that had bottomed out in the 90s, but has since bounced back into a vibrant, small community. I could relate. I had also gone through my own dark valley, losing my mother to cancer 6 years prior, and now I felt like I'd climbed up and out onto the other side. My mom's death had inspired me to go into medicine in the first place. I had dreamed of helping patients like her, and I yearned to take revenge on her disease. Picture me as a warrior in the battle against cancer, training so I could lay waste to the so-called emperor of all maladies, the king of terror. Picture me sharpening my tools and arming for war, stoic and full of wrath. But first, picture me on my obstetrics rotation and absolutely terrified. On this particular day, I felt less like a warrior than like an actor. I had to keep rehearsing over and over in my head what I needed to do. I reviewed my steps, practiced my lines, worked through my checklist, and tried to remember how to play doctor. It really did feel like I was about to go on stage. The hospital room curtains had been thrust open, and the sun was streaming in, throwing a heavenly kind of spotlight on the first-time parents and all over the blue covering the nurse had just put down. Though both prospective parents were beaming with excitement, the mother's forehead glistened with sweat. I'm sure mine did too. This husband and wife team were in their late 20s, which made them older than I was. It crossed my mind that Caitlin, then my girlfriend of 3 years, and I could find ourselves in this very same position soon enough. And that was a happy, calming thought. But perhaps I looked even more nervous than I thought I did, because the father asked, "This isn't your first time, is it?" A scary thing about medicine is that everything in it has a first. Every drug has a first patient. Every surgeon has a first surgery. Every method has a first try. And my life at the time was dominated daily by first times and new challenges. But no, I assured this father-to-be I had done this before. What I didn't say was, once before. Then I was in position. My second Red Bull of the morning had kicked in, and I was ready. As I cycled through the stages of labor in my mind, I was interrupted by the first sound of the baby, his head. "Don't drop it, Dave. Don't drop it, Dave. Don't drop it, Dave." And that was that. I guided the baby safely into the world. It's actually easier than you might think. And I watched him take his first full breath of life. A profound sense of purpose spread through my body, into my limbs, and overwhelmed my senses, so that I couldn't even notice the smell of feces and blood that attends every delivery. It didn't look like it did in movies. There's a lot more winging it, a lot more fear, a lot more relief. There would be many times later on when I would remember that baby I delivered. What I did wasn't heroic or complicated or extraordinary by any measure. It was routine, but I'd helped new life take flight, and that was extraordinary. Too often, hospital medicine isn't about new life. When doctors, nurses, and patients are assembled in a room, the reason is usually dire. My first rotation working in a hospital where I could see this firsthand had been in January 2010, only a few months before my Bethlehem, Pennsylvania baby. After 4 years of pre-med, a master's degree, and a year and a half of medical school coursework, it was finally time to apply my medical knowledge in situ. No more shadowing, no more observing. I might actually help save lives. I got about 3 hours of sleep the night before my first day. I couldn't remember being that amped up since my days of playing football. It was below freezing and before dawn when I got up to go to the hospital, but my adrenaline practically carried me there. I'd walked through the same entrance and atrium of the hospital of the University of Pennsylvania many times before, but today it was totally different. The floors shone brighter, it was larger, or I was smaller. I smiled and waved with the security guards, who met my glee with dutiful reciprocity. They had likely seen dozens of glowing medical students that morning. Each of us, of course, dreaming that we'd be cracking cases and helping patients today like in an episode of House. My first stop was the psychiatry resident call room, where I was supposed to meet up with what's called the psychiatry consult service. Basically, our job would be to visit patients throughout the hospital whose treating physicians had decided they could benefit from additional psychiatric assistance. Some patients were simply delirious after surgery, but others had said they wanted to hurt themselves or other people. Psychiatry wasn't what I really wanted to be ultimately doing. All I could think about doing was fighting cancer, but I was eager to begin my clinical career on a good note. So I attacked the day with egregious enthusiasm. I greeted a woman a few years older than I, one of the residents, who was already engaged deeply in something on her computer screen. I extended my hand, introduced myself, and announced unnecessarily that this was my first rotation.